The theme of our presentation today is on what the Buddha taught. Lord Buddha began his teachings after his enlightenment, after he had obtained the state of Nirvana, Nibbana. Then out of that experience of his flowed the entire teachings and the sermons that he gave unto mankind. It is interesting to note that his entire teachings had a remarkable basis. One was the stamp of authority of his experience of Nirvana, of Nibbana. And the other was he brought about the ancient mystical wisdom knowledge of ancient India at that time. What he did was, after his experience of Nibbana, he formulated and restructured them, the ancient teachings, in a new format, in a very simplified format, which could be understood and it could be discernible to the people, ordinary people. He simplified it, made it direct, and gave it a new format or a new structure. A new structure. So there was a need for it. But what he gave at that time was the teachings to a very good extent was a reformulation of the ancient mystic wisdom knowledge comprised in the ancient Sankhya system, the ancient yoga philosophy, and also the Upanishadic wisdom. The Upanishadic wisdom. He combined the three along with his experience of Nibbana and brought it out as a new teaching for mankind to follow and emulate. For at that time, there was a problem. The problem was that this ancient teaching had relapsed into the background. And what people, to a very good extent, were following and living by was Brahmin paganism, with its accompanying worship of pagan gods, pagan Vedic rituals, and therefore there was a need for a representation of of this ancient wisdom knowledge. Lord Krishna earlier had in unequivocal terms condemned the Vedic rituals and Vedic gods, the performance of and the worship of the Vedic gods. What Buddha did was, he totally ignored its existence. He ignored it as unworthy of attention for man's salvation in the world. Now, in the Hindu tradition, Buddha is nowadays considered to be an avatar, a messiah. But not so in the Buddhist tradition. The Buddhists do not consider it so. And also at the same time it should be noted that Buddha never spoke one word about God. As far as that subject matter was concerned, he was absolutely silent. All through, he was silent on that matter. For there was a reason why he was silent. Because if he had said anything about it, even though the Hindus considered him to be an avatar, nevertheless, later on, the Hindus failed to accept his teachings. Later on, they failed to accept it. They tried to reject it. Well, if he was an avatar, then you should accept it. You can't reject it. You can't. And Buddha too, of all the avatars, he never claimed to be one. He never claimed to be one. Because if he had claimed, what would have happened? Once again, people would go back to the worship of the gods. Once again, they will relapse back into paganistic worship and pagan rituals. But since he did not, since he kept silent on the matter of the Vedas, the Brahmins especially condemned him as a non-believer, as an atheist and a non-believer. Of course, they had their own definition of who a believer was. It's a peculiar definition they had. Of course, all of you know very well, a believer is one who believes in the existence of a supreme intelligence called God. And one who does not, who rejects it, is an atheist. That's a normal understanding of who a believer is. But this was not the Hindu concept. And that all through even today too. What the Hindus did was, they said those who do not believe in the Vedas is an atheist. See the distinction. The one who does not believe in the Vedas, not in the existence, not in God, or in the truth. The truth was put out. Because Buddha had experienced the truth of life. So that was not the criterion. But the criterion was whether you believed in the Vedas or not. Since Lord Buddha ignored the Vedas as unworthy of human attention for enlightenment, therefore they ingeniously twisted the whole understanding and called him an atheist, and then subsequently distorted his teachings. distorted his teachings. And especially when Buddha began using the word shunya. Shunya. Shunya means nothing. What Buddha meant by the word shunya was, it is the nothingness of the universe. It was the nothingness of the human individual. He didn't mean absolute nothingness. But the Hindus twisted the meaning and put it across as absolute nothingness. For the word shunya, that was not the word, that was not the meaning of what the word shunya means. He only said this much. Of course, it has to be, because when you get enlightened, the whole world disappears. The shunya, the nothingness of the whole universe takes place. And simultaneously also, the nothingness of the individual also takes place. So Buddha was very right in saying that there is no soul. There is no soul because it is only a so-called soul. The soul that you are having, that you are living with, experiencing yourself at the moment, is only an empirical individuality. This empirical individuality is what is referred to as the human soul. And at the time of enlightenment, this this empirical individuality also disappears. So therefore he said there is no soul as such. There is no soul as such. It disappears. And another remarkable thing is, when you get enlightened, when you attain Nibbana, when one attains Nibbana, since the soul is not there anymore, then to ask a question, who attained Nibbana? Who attained? If the soul is not there, then who attained Nibbana? In fact, the question itself is wrong. The question is wrongly worded and wrongly put. Because the one who was seeking for Nirvana, on attaining Nirvana, disappears. So therefore to ask who has obtained Nirvana is an inappropriate question. That question doesn't arise as to who has attained Nirvana. Nirvana is already there. It is there. But Nirvana is not absolute nothingness. Because, you know why? Because absolute nothingness cannot be experienced by anyone in the universe. Can you experience absolute nothingness? Impossible. At least the one who is experiencing that absolute nothingness is there. So that is why Buddha used the words Nirvanam Paramam Sukham. Nirvanam Paramam Sukham. That means Nirvana is great bliss. Paramam Sukham is great blissful existence. Now this statement, great blissful existence, cannot be experienced by something which does not exist. Nor can it be experienced by something which is inert in nature. So there has to be something. We don't know what it is. You can't explain what it is as to what Nirvana is. But there is something which is experiencing its Nirvana. That's all that we can say. Beyond that, nothing can be said about that Nirvana. So Nirvana was said to be Paramam Sukham. It was great. It was a great blissful existence. Blissful existence. That's all. So this is only possible if that which was experiencing Nirvana had consciousness. If it had no consciousness, it wouldn't have been possible. So it had consciousness. Now, out of that experience of Nirvana, Buddha comes out and then formulates his teachings with a stamp of authority, personal authority, as to what it is all about. And then he also said something about Nirvana. If not for the unborn, unmade, uncompounded, unoriginated, there would not be that which is born, that which is made, that which is originated, that which is compounded. Now this is a section which you find in teachings of Buddha in the Udana section. In Udana you would find this. But the Buddhists like to conveniently overlook this. They too don't want to fiddle with that, because it would upset everything. So they also don't want to touch that. They sort of want to overlook it. The Buddhists do. Because he had made that statement, if there was something which was unborn, unmade, unoriginated, and uncompounded. Now you as an individual, you are born, you are made, you are originated, and you are a compound. You are a compound. So if not for that, this would not be there. And the whole universe too is similarly so too. It was born, it was made, it had an origin, and it is a compound. The whole universe too. So therefore, this entire relative phenomena which is being experienced by one is only due to the presence of that. Due to the presence of that. So therefore, the word shunya does not mean absolute nothingness. And Buddha never propounded it. Never said that it is absolute nothingness. This is a Hindu twist. Hindu twisting to the whole thing. Hindu twist. So thus, because if Buddha's teachings, now because Buddha had, what did Buddha do? He brought out the ancient teachings and gave it a very simple and direct format. A new format. A new format bereft of what? Bereft of metaphysics. You will find that all the three avatars had one thing in common. They did not give a metaphysical teaching or a doctrine. They only enunciated in sutra-like terse statements certain truths of life, certain mystical truths of life. Now you are to understand those truths and live by those truths. Understand them and live by them. That's all that you are supposed to do. So therefore, there is no metaphysics, profound metaphysics involved, because prior to that, there was a certain element of metaphysics involved in the ancient systems. The yoga philosophy had metaphysics. The Sankhya system had its metaphysics. And also in the Upanishads, of course, you don't have metaphysics coming into the picture, but Buddha's teachings contain a lot from all of these two, from all these three sources, because that is the original source. You know why? Because the truth has already been revealed in the world long time ago. So nobody is bringing anything new into this world. There was a holy man. He said, I have new space, there's nothing fresh, nothing new. A holy man who had experienced Nirvana, he said, there's nothing new. It's nothing new. So it was the old teachings, the ancient teachings, which had been brought out. So now, since Buddha did not utter one, because his mission was on a different line altogether. People were not making the right effort at that time. They were going in the wrong direction. Wrong forms of of practices they were involved in. Therefore, you would find that Lord Buddha consistently in the eightfold path, declaring right effort, right view, right. So he always was using the word samyak sankalpa, samyak drishti, samyak vyama, so right effort. So always he was using the word right, because wrong efforts are being gone through by the human race at that time. So because of this factor, that people were not making the right effort, because before you make the right effort, you must have the right understanding. Absolutely necessary. So what should the people seek? Always to obtain the right understanding, which is absolutely necessary. If you do not have the right understanding, you will be going on the wrong track, or put on the wrong track. So people at that time were on the wrong track, as they were going through various forms of pagan worship, pagan rituals, all based on the Vedas. So he totally ignored the content of the Vedas, totally ignored it. And then thereafter, Buddhism was the religion of India for 1,000 years. Soon after Emperor Asoka conquered the whole of India, and he introduced Buddhism into the whole of India. He became a Buddhist, and he introduced Buddhism all over India. And Buddhism was the religion of India for 1,000 years. Then thereafter came that Shankara, who upset the whole apple cart. And then once again, India relapsed into pagan Brahmanism once again. And now today, the living religion of India is nothing but this. Nothing but the practice of pagan rituals, pagan worship. And this is the living religion of India today. It had gone. It had gone once again, it had reverted back. So now, Buddha consistently never used the word God there, even though he is considered to be an avatar. So if he is considered to be an avatar by the Hindus, they should accept his teachings. But they did not. They did not. And Buddha too, to make his teachings consistent, never used the word God anywhere. Never used that word. It would defeat his mission. It would defeat his purpose. It would defeat his purpose. His purpose was primarily and principally to put people on the right track. On the right track. Leading towards enlightenment. Now the two words, Nibbana and Nirvana, refer to one and the same thing. The Pali Buddhist word is Nibbana, and the Sanskrit Hindu word is Nirvana, and they both mean the same thing. And in the Bhagavad Gita too, the word Brahma Nirvana has been used there. Has been used. That word, Brahma Nirvana, attains Brahma Nirvana. Attains Nirvana in Brahman. The word Nirvana is very clearly used there. Now, what is Nirvana? So, when one attains Nirvana, what happens is that once Nirvana, it's like the lamp being blown off. You have a candle flame, which is emitting its flickering light, and it gets blown off. It gets blown off. So you are the individual with a consciousness, like a candle flame, and you as this human individual, now when you attain Nirvana, you are no more. You are no more. So that is why Buddha said that he brought out very clearly the doctrine of no soul. This is the doctrine of no soul. You are not a real soul. Of course, you are a soul for practical purposes. An empirical soul, we may use the word empirical soul. You are an empirical soul. But really speaking, you're only not a real soul, you're only an apparent individual. Because if you were a real individual, and if your soul was, human soul was very real, you cannot lose it. You cannot lose what is real. But you cannot, at the same time, you are not something unreal. Give yourself a good pinch and you will know whether you are real or unreal. So therefore you are neither a real entity nor an unreal entity individual, but you are an apparent individual who is having this trauma, isn't it? This human trauma. This human trauma. You're going through this. So all that you want is, that is what Buddha said. When your hair is on fire, don't go and ask somebody, how did it get on fire? Now douse it. Now douse it. Look for the way to douse it. Similarly also, when you are going through this problem of human existence, don't try to find out how I came into this situation. Try to get out of it. Try to clear the mess, get out of it. If you go to a doctor for treatment and ask the doctor, how did I get this? Doctor, he will say, I have got these medicines, just take them and it will do its job. It will do its job. So what you are concerned is not how you got it, but how you have to get out of it. That's, you're more primarily concerned of that. So here also it is the same case. Same case. So therefore, and there is no how. Because the trouble is, when you attain Nirvana, you will realize certain very profound things, very profound truths. And one of the things is that you will come to realize that which brought you into this world, is a very unusual phenomenon. Now, you are having your own mind, your own impulses and energies, your own impulse, they are very much within you. And they are surcharged with energy, your innate impulses. And it is these impulses which is now sustaining you in this world. It's keeping you going in this world. So long as this energy pattern is there within you, strong energy pattern is there within you. So Nirvana means, also Buddha said, it is a cooling off of all the passions within you. Cooling off. Nothing more than that. So when you cool down the passions which are there, all the passions which are there within you, passions of various forms, all your desires, your ambitions, your things to be done in the whole universe, all these things put together is your desire, all your passions, which you may call it the lustful living. The lustful living which is there within you is your passions. And so long as this is there, you will keep on going on in the whole universe. So Nirvana means when you cool down these passions, this lustful living, then what happens is the smoldering fire which was there within you, it dies down, and as it cools down, then when it totally cools down and totally shuts down, then what happens is Nirvana transpires. And where is this smoldering fire, all this energy which is smoldering there within you? Where is it taking place? Of course it is taking place in your own mind. In your own mind it's happening there. So for the remedy, there's a remedy for the problem. The problem is there, but there is a remedy for the problem. And this is where the remedy is. The remedy is that within yourself, in your mind itself, and in your heart itself, the fire is there. The fire. All the energies all the desire patterns are smoldering there within you. And this has to cool down. This has to cool down. So that is why in one section of the Upanishads, called the Mandukya Upanishad Karika, this fact is very beautifully mentioned. And it is mentioned and illustrated with an example, with a very remarkable example. In the jungles in the Himalayan region, when formerly they didn't have electricity, and when they had to go through the jungles, so they took a stick, lighted it, and as you keep on twirling the stick, you get a circular fire. You get a circular fire. But there is the formation of a circular fire. But there is no circular fire. It is only the stick which is whirling around. The whirling around of the stick creates the formation of a circular fire. But there is no circular fire. It is only the stick which is being whirled in motion. So also, as far as you are concerned, because of this energized mind, your mind is in a constant state of motion. It's constantly in a state of motion or activity. And this motion or activity of your mind has objectively brought about the sensation of this universe, objectively speaking. On one side, you, the individual, and on the other side, you have the entire panoramic universe. You have the entire panoramic universe. Because all due to the energy formation in the mind, which is now in motion. Your mind is in motion. And this fact is very well and very beautifully understood by the illustration of what? Of the dream experience. When you have a dream, and there is a dream experience, your mind has got energized, and as a result of the functioning of the mind, three things have simultaneously arisen. One is the entire objective universe, the dream universe. Secondly, the dream individual, you are also there experiencing you as a dream individual. And thirdly, the entire dream phenomena. So all the three things have risen simultaneously, all due to what? Due to this fellow called the mind. This mind of yours is playing trot with you. And this mind, of course, this is very well understood and known in your experience, in your frequent experiences. It is very well known. So it's all due to the mind. So therefore, Buddha said, when this mind is doused, all the three collapse simultaneously. What are the three? The individual who was experiencing the universe, which too also collapses, and the dream experience, and we don't know where it has collapsed. Do you care where it has collapsed? Huh? No, you don't care. All that you are happy is that it has collapsed. That's all that you want. It has collapsed. And it was a relief to come out of it. So also in the same way too, there is, in the waking state, this waking individual is there, energized with his waking energy, and there is this waking panoramic universe, and the waking experience, and all of this will collapse. All of this will collapse when the energy within you will subside. So it's all cooling process. You have to only cool it. Cool you. So when this energy subsides, so it's all in the mind. It's a mind game. It's a mind game. And this has been very classically and beautifully mentioned in the Mandukya Upanishad Karika. And this understanding is one of the main aspects of Buddha's teachings too. Wherein, that is why it is said, his subsequent teachers are called as the hidden Buddhas. Because this truth was brought out. in the Hindu tradition also. This particular truth, which is also is in the Hindu, which was formulated before by Lord Buddha. So they say that this Mandukya Upanishad Karika, which was written 1,000 years later, is nothing but expounding what was mentioned there, which was originally mentioned by Lord Buddha too. And therefore, when this mind energy subsides, everything subsides. Then back to normal. You are back to normal. So therefore, Lord Buddha's teachings have to be now once again re-understood in its proper perspective. As to what really Buddha meant by those words which he had used. The word Nirvana has to be re-understood again. The word Shunya has to be re-understood again. Shunya means nothingness. It means only the nothingness of the universe. And Nirvana is, and both the Buddhists and the Hindus are a little reluctant to go further into this. Into this matter. As to what this state of Nibbana is. What it is. So therefore, Buddha said, what really happened? What really happened to you? Only a process transpired is one of the greatest statements ever made. Only a process transpired. And the process was your process. You came into existence, lived in the universe for some time, or you seem to have come into existence. Can you put it that way? You seem to have come into existence in the apparent universe. So, and then this process, when you get enlightened, you also disappear. So only a process transpires. In between, you identified yourself as an individual, and then you are searching for enlightenment. So what really happened was, an apparent individual came into the scene. He had an apparent problem with the apparent universe, and then he apparently got enlightened. He had gone through the apparent discipline, and finally apparently got enlightened. And once that has happened, everything is back to its old good old state. That state of Nibbana. So therefore, Buddha, in his eightfold path, he always enunciated right view, the right view. The first one was right view. So what is this right view? The right view is that, apart from other aspects of this right view, one of its principal ingredients is that the external universe has no intrinsic reality. It apparently only is. Momentarily it exists. This outside universe apparently exists for momentarily. Moment to moment it exists. And you also, as an individual, you also should not take yourself as a real entity. You also only got an apparent existence, an apparent individuality, but don't consider yourself as something very real. Neither consider the universe outside as something which is very real indeed. Because if you consider the universe as something real, you will be inputting energy into the universe to sustain it. Because of this wrong concept that it is real, by that very process itself, you are inputting energy into it and giving it reality. And once you give reality to this world outside, you sustain it. And where do you sustain it? In your mind, in your consciousness. Therefore, first of all, understand that the world outside, the universe outside, is only an apparent phenomena which apparently exists. So once you stop inputting, taking it for real, then what happens is, but take it for whatever its practical utility. If it is very cold, and if the sun is out, go out and bathe in the, take a sun bath. Or if it is very extremely warm, take off whatever your clothes, so that you can be with a minimum. If you are hungry, just take your little food. These are practical aspects. Go through so have a practical interaction with the world outside, but don't take it for real. Because by doing so, you'll be inputting energy into it. But on the other hand, if your understanding is very clear that it is something which is not totally real, then you have stopped inputting reality to it, and you will stop sustaining it in your consciousness. Then by that process, the whole universe, by and by, will begin to fizzle away and fade away from your consciousness, from your mind. It will begin to fade away. So also, as far as your human individuality is also concerned, do not consider yourself to be a real phenomenon. You are also a momentary thing, temporal, and don't take yourself to be real. So you have only got a practical utility or practical function to function in the universe. That's about a practical reality. So by this process also, you as an individual also, you will tend to collapse. By and by, your individuality will collapse. So you are assisting in the collapse of your individuality, so that you can attain nirvana. So that is why he was very emphatic on this idea of this right view, to have the right view. Because people take the world as a very real thing. They take themselves for something very real indeed. So by this, you are now not inputting energy for your own existence. Automatically you will subside. The energy within you will subside. So, this was what he indicated by the word, the right view. The right view. Then, having said that it is the given idea of the right view, the next thing is, he talked of the samyak sankalpa, samyak drishti. So, samyak drishti means the right view. The right vision, the right view or the right vision. And then Samyak Sankalpa. Samyak Sankalpa here stands for, do not make any resolves. Do not make any. Samyak Sankalpa. Or if not, make any. So they are technically speaking, he was referring to Samyak Sankalpa is to make the right resolves. The right resolves. Not to make wrong resolves, but to make the right resolves over any matter. Right resolves indicates something positive in your action. Something positive, non-destructive in your life and in your actions. Or do not have any resolves. Do not make any resolves. Just keep on living life. Just keep on living life. And then he emphasized right speech, of course. Then, samyak karma, that means right action. Right action. Because people invariably tend to do wrong action in the world. Therefore, right action was very emphatically mentioned by him. Right action. Because people were getting into wrong actions. And what were the wrong actions? Doing rituals is wrong action. Doing rituals is wrong action. But the right action is wherein every action that you do is the ritual of life. The daily living of life itself is a ritual. This is called right action. The daily action. That is why he never talked about rituals. Temple rituals, none of that he spoke about. He only spoke about right action. Right action. So that you can go about doing your right actions in the world. And right livelihood. He spoke of right livelihood. So always right, because to make people refrain from wrong livelihoods. So what is this right livelihood? Wherein you do the minimum of harm to fellow beings. The minimum of harm in your earning your livelihood. So right livelihood was an important feature of his education. So thus in this manner he kept on always using the word right, because people were going through wrong processes, wrong practices. So therefore, to make matters clear and bring them into the right direction, he was employing the word right, the right direction, in order for people to live the right life, right livelihood. And also, he also used the word samyak samadhi, the right practices leading to samadhi, samyak samadhi. That's because people were indulging in other forms of worships, and they get absorbed in those worships. To prevent them from getting into that, he also used the word right there, samyak samadhi. The samyak samadhi means the process by which you tend to get enlightened towards nirvana. And as for nirvana, he had used the word nirvana dhatu. The nirvana dhatu has been used, the word dhatu. So there is something there in nirvana which a person experiences, and by which he becomes enlightened. If not, for which he would not be enlightened. So there is something which, when he gets into nirvana, he is experiencing something there. And he used the word nirvana dhatu. So out of that flowered these entire teachings of Lord Buddha in the world. Then he also said, be an island unto yourself. Be an island unto yourself. When, at the last moment of his life, when one of his close disciples asked him, Ananda asked him, what is your final advice? Then he told him, live like an island. Live like an island unto yourself. That is to say, be self-insulated. Be self-insulated. And wherever you go, you are like an island. And as an island, you don't allow the outside phenomena to come and disturb you. Wherever you go, be an island unto yourself. That is to say, be a self-integrated person. Self-integrated person. So if you can live your life as a self-integrated person, you will be an island unto yourself. And wherever you go, you will be okay. You will be all right. So in this manner, Lord Buddha gave a remarkable new presentation to this ancient wisdom knowledge of ancient India. And his teachings have to be once again, without any bias or prejudice, re-understood, not from the point of view of what the Buddhists have taught you, but try to understand from the originals as to what Buddha said. What Buddha said, which perhaps is a little different from what the Buddhist may be teaching about the teachings of Buddha. Could be, maybe a little different. And is the same case everywhere too. Everywhere too. In all traditions, you find the same problem arising. In the Hindu tradition, in the Christian tradition, you have the same problem. So here too also, with respect to Buddha's teachings, one has to get into its original source. as to what really Buddha said and what he meant. And they are simple, they are very, very direct and in their content and could be easily understood by people. Om Tat Sat.